So here we are, 2nd of January, episode number 2. And today we're dealing with certain issues here and certain decisions that I have to make in terms of the business. And I got this piece of paper here and I'm going to write them down. Now, we've got a call booking funnel, right, that I'm running. And I will record my screen as I'm doing this. There we go. Right. Call booking funnel, which means that I'm running advertising. Okay, I'm running meta ads, and I'm bringing people to a lander. Yeah, I got 2 funnels that are running at the same time, bringing people to the lander. To the lander. They're watching a webinar on one side. On the other side, there is opt-in, which then leads to a different VSL, which then leads to booking, right? So the 2 different systems, but they're both running at the same time. They're both bringing leads. I don't have enough data yet to tell which one is the winner. Which one should I keep, right? I just know that the very high spending budget. And I went with this budget based on previous data analysis, which has shown me that we've had on the 23rd of December a 4.3K day. Okay, so me looking at that, I was like, well, what really happened here? And I use Hyros to track my ads. Anyone that doesn't know, Hyros is an attribution software where you're able to track all the data based on, every single ad, pages that have been clicked and everything else, right? So looking at the data, looking at the ads, I saw which ads were performing, I saw which funnel was performing, and I saw where the money came from. And a big realization that I've had over the years, and it got more and more apparent, obviously, since high ticket in Romania, you gotta imagine, it's not as easy, not at the price point that I want to sell at. Anyways, so there will be some decisions, and I will discuss them here. Decision number 1 is, first things first, I decided to launch a separate campaign just at Romanians abroad, right? But the difference is, and this is where personal branding is good and comes into place, because I've been doing content in Romania since 2024. I have stopped in 25 and I've just used ads. This year is about combining everything, okay? Getting back on the content, finding a system whereby that is optimized and edited, whether it's an editing team, just seeing where I allocate the resources. But I use a retargeting campaign to all my warm 50% watched, 75% watched, 95% watched of the video. I ran that at international Romanians abroad, right? That have also known me. And then I have another one which also runs at cold, but that is the other funnel, right? So the idea is that obviously, you got someone that lives in Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Spain, France. The wages are different, therefore the affordability is much higher, right? Whereas someone from Romania, unless they have a really secure, solid job, then the offer changes, right? So you got to be careful who you're talking to. You got to be careful where you spend your time. You got to be careful with the qualification. So anyways, that's on the ad side of things, and that's on the lead generation side of things, which, every single day we have about 20 calls booked in the calendar on average, 25, probably even more. Some days we had 30, right? And they're just self-booked. So these people just self-book, right? And the problem is that when you have that many people booking themselves in, what happens is, because they would have just seen you, some of them, they don't remember who you are, even if they've seen that one video that was used to retarget them, they were in that bracket of 50% watch, but maybe they've just seen that one video out of the selection that I've added in the audience, right? When you create a custom audience in Meta, the problem is that they don't really know you. Okay, they don't really know you. So lead nurture then comes into place, and it is crucial that it's very, very important. right? So what we then do is we have a process and it's validated, right? The idea is that now scaling the process and utilizing the team and the resources available to make this work like clockwork and a machinery. Otherwise, it is wasted time. I've already had 2 no-shows so far, and one of the calls that I've taken was not qualified. Not qualified. Although you look at the details, what we'll read here. Wants to grow muscle mass, was skinny, added some muscle, but added some fat. And the professional description is an entrepreneur, project manager, and also Uber driver when not away with projects outside the country. So I have a question here where I'm like, if the results would be permanent and guaranteed, what would you be willing to invest? And then they said less than 250 euros, right? Which that is a red flag. So I have a call scoring system where I would score leads from 1 to 4, and there's certain criteria that I use, right? And it goes by occupation, current revenue, geography, where they're located, and the answer quality and the detail they're given, right? And then you have to go into further qualification. But let's say if we have a 1, it's an unqualified, we cancel it right away. If it's a 2, it's okay, and it's yellow, it's amber, we mark that as free, or we need to triage them via a setter or leave as is or cancel or increase the score, right? And number 3 is good. We just approve, marketing qualified lead, or 4 is best, right? So they just like, these are the best leads. Anyways, see the problem that we now face is that it's increasing that trust. So I know that I've got the vehicle right in terms of I can generate leads and I can generate appointments, right? I can book appointments, self-booked. And it's very hard to do that on a self-booking system. Very few were able to achieve that because most businesses are very, very setting heavy, where you talk to every single lead, it comes on Instagram, social media, and then you book the call from there, which, yes, there is more trust once you've booked the call in that way, but there is also commitment when the call was self-booked and intent showed by the lead. So you just need to know to capitalize on that. Now, end of December 2025, I went through the whole system myself. Now, this is something that I haven't done in 2025. I haven't really done sales. I just focused on marketing, product delivery, and just lead generation, right? And I have a sales team. I have Alex, who's been my guy since about, we've worked together for about 2 years now. He started as a setter, and then, he was booking appointments, he was sending people to a VSL, and now he's a closer, right? But he also helps me with a lot of other things. Where we're tracking the data, where we're looking at number of clients that we have and how it's being delivered, and some of the onboarding process, like quite a few things, which is very good. But the issue here is that what he knows is something that has been developed for about 2 years, and his process is amazing. The way he understands who is qualified, who is not qualified, who should go on a call, who shouldn't go on a call, what it takes to actually qualify a lead. Like, he's very, very good at it. Very good at it. Now, the point is, how do we then take that, replicate it, create a process around it, to then multiply it and have other people taking that role and then, multiplying and scaling. So what we need to think about is again, I go back to data. So when I saw that on the 23rd of December, we've cashed in 4.3K. I ran the ads, I opened up my calendar, I went into sales. 29th and 30th of December, I brought in a total of 8.4K and another 1K on the 31st, right? So 9K in about 3 days, which that's very aligned with the 100K goal, right? But I did that whole process myself. right? A whole process from nurturing, talking to leads, sending the resources, sending the materials, creating a connection, personal connection. And there's a very specific order. And order number one is qualifying the lead, right? Because you gotta know, like, is it worth going on a call? Like, you're actually looking for, and you have to get them to commit. That's something that Alex realizes. Like, we have to get them to commit. Are you just looking for some advice, or do you actually want me to coach you? There's a very big difference, right? So the whole point is that when I did that, and then I went in and I did the closes as well, bang, it worked. So I was like, okay, but that's the system. But now that needs to be replicated and multiplied, because if someone books a call, we don't talk to them, they're gone. They might show up, they might not even show up, although we have a reminder system in place and everything else. If they don't show up, that's quite bad. If they show up and they've not been nurtured, it's also very bad, because these people don't know much about. So I have a webinar which is pre-recorded. Everything's set. It explains the whole journey that I went through in order to discover the method. It gives the method value, right? It shows how I started, how it started. Some of the things I went to, I call this the scarred transformator principle. That if someone's been through some shit and they're coming out on the other side of it and telling you, hey, these are my scars, I've been to war. And there's two types of people. There's people that go through hard things and, they hit their head. They're like, ooh, that was painful. I got to be careful next time not to hit my head again. And the other type of people, they're like, ouch, that hurts. And they turn around and say, hey, bro, be careful, because that's there. You want to pay attention. Don't want to hit yourself there, right? So these are people that will show up and will tell you some of the things that they went through in order for you to avoid making those same mistakes or feeling that same pain. And that's pretty much what coaching is. It's someone that has solved the problem for themselves and then realize that other people have that same problem and you can solve it for them as well, right? And in exchange for the value that is attributed to them solving that problem. Not the coaching program, not the, it's not the app, it's not the trackers, it's not the nutrition plan, it's not the training plan. And I still make that mistake because I'm a coach, right? I still make that mistake. I'm a professional coach, professional bodybuilder. I've taken, client to the Olympia, but I still make that mistake. I go into a sales call and I go too technical. And that is wrong, because you do not sell the flight. You sell the destination. And it's about emotion, and it's about someone actually making a decision and them knowing what it means for them and their lives, right? So that also shows that I do not have a clear sales script, and I need to do that. Because without that, I'm shooting blind, right? And hoping that it sticks. So that's one. Problem number two is we now have to look at all the stages and everything that needs to happen, right? Because let's write down the problem. So problem number one is call booked leading to nurture, right? You got to nurture someone. Problem number two is there's a lot of people that don't book the call, right? Don't book. They have to be booked and then nurtured, right? And there is opt-in leads who don't even go past the VSL, right? So we still got opt-ins, which are even less intense. Because how are we able to track a not booked? Well, I use a software called iClosed, and what that's able to do, so let's say you're gonna go and you're gonna see the form and you start putting in your mobile number. I can see it. You're gonna input any detail that you put, I can see it. So I can see when someone's attempting to book but not completing, right? They go through the form. iClosed is pretty smart. It has a form and a calendar 2-in-1, so you can see when someone's starting the form, they're attempting, they're not completing. Okay, that's a lot higher intent, but they still haven't booked. So those are your warmest leads outside of the ones that have already booked. But then you have opt-ins who don't even go through the other side of the VSL. And they're a lot more, right? The number is way, way higher, maybe 50, 60, 70 a day, depending on the ad spend, right? So these are leads. So now I need a system whereby someone's dealing with the calls booked, someone's dealing with the leads, and someone's dealing with the ones that did not book but need to book, right? And then We have Alex, Yunus. Yunus is actually first ever client that I've had that I stepped on stage. It's awesome. It's 2019. It's been 6 years now, and we work together now. He's in my sales team, so that's really nice. But we still have to find a way, because there's another issue that I've realized. See, when people book with myself, there's a lot of trust there. But if they book in with some of the team, I have to transfer the trust to the team, right? So you got to work on that a little bit more, because on those days, me and Yunus, we had a lot of calls. I was having show-ups, very high number of show-ups and closes, and he wasn't. And then, okay, obviously there was a difference in, again, mine were nurtured, his weren't. The transfer of trust wasn't there, so that created a problem, right? The good thing is that I know what needs to be done, right? The bad thing is that it's not done, and yeah, it's just going every day. So I think this is where I have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, because if I brute force this and I'm the one doing it, I'll be making money, but I need to also create a system. So I guess the idea is to also document how I'm doing it to be able to train it forwards. And I've got a team of setters, right? It's 3 setters. They're just on standby, right? They're on standby. They're waiting to know what to do. But I'm also seeing 3 different opportunities here. We got call booked, intent but didn't book, and the opt-ins, right? So 3 setters, 3 different roles. I guess that's how we will divide them. This was like a service, right? So I hired a service. You got setter managers, and they do the managing. They get a fixed fee plus commissions. The setters get commissions, and that's the way you do it, right? But it was December when we discussed about this. End of November, they started in December, hired 3 people, bam. But then I was like, well, okay, we haven't really systemized it. And when I started giving them the good leads, they were destroying the leads. And I thought, oh, I can't really afford that. I've made that mistake in the past, trying to aggressively scale the sales team. It didn't work. And it didn't work because the roles were scattered. There was no structure. There was no scripts. It was too aggressive. So it didn't work. Not with there's got to be a ramp up process, not with your good leads, with the bad leads. Start with the bad leads, because then also you'll appreciate the good ones, right? But not going too technical. So my decision and what I need to get done today is I need to systemize this, because if I keep going and showing up on sales calls where I'm talking to unqualified people, I've just wasted an hour. An hour, which is crucial. Every hour of my day has to be spent in good matter. If you're a founder and you want to make 100K a month and beyond, you can't be spending your time taking sales calls with unqualified people, especially that. Like, if they're qualified, fair enough. Okay, they've qualified, they've shown interest. There's real potential there to gain 1K, 2K, or even more, right? But if they're not qualified and they're not nurtured, like, what are you doing there? Like, why are you spending your time there, right? Yeah, but there's potential. It doesn't work. Like, you can be a very good closer. It's too cold. It is too cold. It doesn't work. So the main idea is what I need to do today is take this system and create procedures. We got call booked. How do we nurture them? They didn't book. How do we make sure that we get them booked? And the opt-ins, how do we make sure that the leads get nurtured? And, speed to lead is important. Speed to lead is important, because what we realized is we had, let's say I open up a conversation. I'm like, hey, is this Andre? Is this Joshua? And they say yes, but then I'm busy. I'm with other calls and da-da-da-da, and I can't continue. But that's actually worse than messaging that person later on or a day later, right? So then this is what needs to happen. So I'm going to go through my processes. I'm going to take every single step by step. And I'm going to start with the calls booked, because that's the most important. The ones that are booked, they need to be nurtured. The ones that don't book, they need to be booked. The ones that are opt-ins, they also need to be contacted and booked and then nurtured, right? So I got to write down what that looks like, how it worked. Then I gotta think about coverage. What's the coverage from start to finish? Because it's getting busy from morning till 11, 12 a.m. Like 11 p.m., 12 a.m., midnight. People are always opting in. People are always coming in. How do you have coverage throughout the whole day? So these are the decisions that I'm facing with. It's the good thing is that I've done it. Alex has done it. We just got to look back at what worked, take those conversations, extract them. I'm going to use AI and trying to be as fast as possible, and just trying to put together the process. At least that, knowing what it looks like, then think about all the other possible outcomes. How do you systemize it? Make it very clear what it means to be qualified. That's very, very important. And so this is what's in store for today. 2nd of January, we're in full force. I'm wasting money on ads, and that I'm also wasting time every day. That if 100K, that means we got to collect at least 3 days. If you don't collect every day that you don't collect that, it just increases how much you need to collect some of the other days, right? And the slower we are, we're gonna have days where we're gonna need to collect 9K maybe to catch up, right? So you catch up for 3 days. And that's what it is. Every day lost is a day further away from the goal of 100K in a month, euros, right? That's what I'm tracking in. So let's see. This is what we do today, and I'll keep you updated. But yeah, this is episode 2, sorting this shit out, and making sure that we get good calls, we get nurtured leads, we have leads that trust us and understand how we work and what our value is. And then there'll be a lot more, I'm sure, but this is the problem that I'm seeing. I'll keep you in the loop. Cheap. But still something. This is the thing. How many of these freaking payments do you need? This was just 600 euros. But these are good because they fund everything else. They fund ads and everything else. We did 1.3K today. We're gonna crack it. Good things take time. Like most people are not. They're not willing to spend the time needed to progress in a chosen field, or everyone wants something now, and we might not hit 100K this month. We might hit 75, and even 75 is going to be a record month, in which case I wouldn't be sad, but the 100K is the goal, right? You need something that really stretches you. Set a goal that really stretches you, that pushes you, because now I'm thinking, well, okay, some other days would have been like, well, 1.3K is fine because a 1.4 is a 50K month. Well, yeah, but no, it's not fine. We got to do double it. Yeah. It's also very early on, 2nd of January. Like I spoke to someone today and they were like, oh, I'm still like recovering from, New Year's Eve. Because I'm looking back at data when we did January at 58, 25, and the first week actually was a pretty slow week. But we can't look back. We just got to surpass it, and do things in the right order at the right time. You're not gonna. Not when you're still figuring shit out. Not when you are. Once you have, and then when everything's in place and you're already at a specific point when it comes to, from there you just optimize so you can do more, more, better, new. And you don't go to the new until you do more of what's already working, and then you have slight tweaks to make the current process better. And only when the current process is better, and then you kind of feel like you maxed out, maybe you bring something else, maybe. But yeah, we keep going.